Well, the aviation sector has gone through a difficult period post the COVID-19 pandemic. It is now on the feet of recovery. Joining us to talk about Boeing's plans, not just for India, but for the international business, is the head of Boeing's international business, Brendan Nelson. Brendan, many thanks for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. Let me start by asking you about the outlook for the aviation sector globally. As I pointed out, it's been a difficult 3 years for the aviation sector. How are we out of the woods yet? How strong do you anticipate the recovery is likely to be from here on?
Well, thank you for speaking to me, Shireen. It's a privilege to do so. I think in terms of context, firstly, something I didn't realise until I came to Boeing is that 80% of humanity has not yet flown, has not yet been on a plane. And when you look at the long-term future, providing we get to sustainable aviation, which is a priority for our company, the growth is enormous. We've been through this perfect storm, if you like, in terms of the aviation sector with the global pandemic and the devastating impact that it's had on the industry, but growth has rebounded extremely quickly. And in fact, in all of the markets, we are close to, if not in some cases exceeded pre-COVID-19 levels of air travel, domestically certainly, and international aviation is running at about 80% of what it was pre-COVID. You've seen what's happened in China. President Xi has changed the approach to COVID-19, and we've seen a very rapid increase in demand for domestic aviation in China, and it's anticipated that China will get to 65, perhaps even 80% of pre-COVID by the end of 2023. So it's very much on the way back. And particularly for India, we're forecasting that over the next 20 years that India will need about 2,200 more aircraft for its commercial fleet, and that's a conservative estimate. So the growth is very significant.
Well, yes, we are seeing a rebound across different markets, especially when we talk about passenger traffic. But what does that mean as far as the order book is concerned, specifically for Boeing? And more importantly, in terms of the challenges that OEMs like yours have faced on account of supply chain disruptions, how much of that is now a thing of the past?
Well, certainly we face challenges, and for Boeing last year we had 800 orders, and we'll be working hard to support our customers throughout the world, including in India. Many of them are going through fleet renewals as a way of increasing their sustainability, reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, modernising fleets, and a much more efficient operations. We clearly face supply chain constraints at the moment, as do many industries. And we've been working hard to have our teams that are actually working with our suppliers. We're looking at bringing new suppliers that we may not have used in the past into our supply chains. We're also very focused on what we call our safety inventory, the amount of inventory that we have as a reserve, and building up those reserves, and essentially doing everything that we can to keep our supply chains going. One of the things that's really important is that we make sure that our production rates are able to be supplied confidently by the supply chains, to make sure that we get production right, that we deliver what we promise to deliver, and when we say that we will do it. And we're confident that we'll be able to meet the expectations of our customers in the near term. The supply chain issues will continue to challenge the industry at least for the next 1, perhaps 2 years.
If I could specifically focus on the supply chain constraints that you just alluded to, and you said that you anticipate this is likely to continue for at least another 12 to 24 months. Where do you see the most pain at this point in time? Is it on the engine side? You also spoke about the fact that you are likely to onboard new suppliers. Now, India has been a part of the Boeing ecosystem as far as the supply base is concerned. How significant a role is India likely to play in trying to ensure that you move past these supply chain disruptions?
Well, there are a range of things that are in constrained supply at the moment, and engine manufacturers challenged in meeting the demands of the aircraft manufacturers, including us, electrical components and, of course, computer chips. But nonetheless, we're managing our supply chain issues I think, very effectively. India is extraordinarily important. India, of course, is an emerging superpower. It's a vibrant democracy. It is now the most populous country in the world. We, Boeing, have 5,000 Indians employed by Boeing in India. We've got 300 suppliers in our supply chain in India at the moment. We invest $1 billion US a year with those suppliers, and that has a multiplier effect of supporting around 14,000 Indians. In looking at furthering our supply chains, you're absolutely right, Shireen. We're very focused on India, and you'll see in the near and medium term we'll be making further announcements about our suppliers who come from India supporting our international supply chain. We've currently got 2,200 international suppliers in 58 countries, and India is very much a growth priority for Boeing and will receive further investment from our company in a number of areas in supporting not just commercial aviation but also the defence sector, and we'll be supporting manufacturing and also skills growth. And I should have said earlier, by the way, Shireen, that in terms of growing the aviation sector in India, that 2,200 planes or thereabouts, that will require about 100,000 Indians, pilots, crews, engineers, technicians, mechanics, a whole range of people, and we'll be investing also in skilling up the Indian population to support aviation growth in this country.
If I could just pick up on the investment that you just spoke of, and you said you're already invested $1 billion in India across the supplier ecosystem, and you anticipate that growth is only going to pick up from here on. What would that mean if you could quantify what it would mean over the next few years in terms of additional incremental investments into India? And specifically on onboarding new suppliers, are there conversations that are already underway? When do you believe we could expect more suppliers to be onboarded here in India? And for what specifically?
Well, there's not a lot specifically that I'm able to announce to you at the moment. We will be making some announcements at Aero India about our further footprint. We'll also be making some further announcements following some commercial negotiations that we have been involved with, and we'll make further announcement about expansion of the supply chain once our teams have completed consultations and reviews in India itself. But I can only reassure you that our workforce in India, our direct workforce, is certainly going to grow from its current 5,000, and our suppliers will be increasing from the 300 that it currently is.
Let's talk about the commercial side before I get to the defence opportunity here in India. And there's, of course, been a lot of talk around the likely order that's going to come in from Air India. I know that these are sensitive conversations and negotiations that are currently underway, but do share with us what you can in terms of how you expect things to proceed, especially as far as Air India is concerned.
Well, at this stage, Shireen, there's not a lot that I'm able to say about the detail of Air India. We work very closely with all of our customers, including Air India. I would say to you, though, that the Tata Group acquiring Air India is good for the Tata Group, it's good for Air India, but most importantly, it's good for the nation of India itself. The Tata Group has a track record of ethical performance, of delivering outcomes for India, and their ownership of Air India is good for the nation. We will work very closely with Air India and all of the carriers across India to support them and to provide them with whatever they need from the Boeing company. At this stage, I can't say much more than that.
I understand, but you talked about 2,200 planes in India, and that's the kind of headroom for growth that you anticipate over the next 2 decades. How much of that does Boeing want to corner in India? What's the aspiration that you have at this point in time?
Well, obviously, as you would expect, Shireen, we would like to provide as many aircraft as is possible and considered necessary by Indian carriers. Those decisions are entirely in the hands of the Indian aircraft industry and our customers, but we have an extraordinarily impressive range of commercial aircraft which we offer and support, and if you are an airline and you're going to a long-term relationship with a company, Boeing is a company that will certainly support and deliver and maintain aircraft in a way that our customers expect. The availability of the aircraft is outstanding, and we expect to have a significant slice of that growing market. And that's one of the reasons why we're increasing our investment in India and employing Indians. We believe in India and we want to support it in every way that we possibly can.